Every championship in Philadelphia has been built on one undeniable truth. If you control the trenches and terrorize the opposing quarterback, you control your own destiny. That is why front office architect Howie Roseman willingly surrendered draft capital and handed over $50 million in cold, hard guarantees to secure an elite defensive anchor. But right now, inside the Novacare complex, the celebratory energy of summer is evaporating into sheer anxiety, replaced by a reality that nobody in Midnight Green wanted to confront. Before we dive straight into the chaotic chain reaction unfolding behind closed doors, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your fellow diehards, and subscribe to the channel so you stay connected to every major breakdown. When the offseason blockbuster trade went down, bringing Jonathan Greenid to town was supposed to solidify the most feared edge-rushing unit in the National Football League. For weeks, the public messaging was calm, confident, and completely under control. We were repeatedly told that placing him on the active physically unable to perform list before training camp was merely a precautionary measure. Fans were assured that the pectoral tightness he suffered in the team weight room was nothing more than a minor bump in the road. On July 30th, the front office stood firm, reassuring everyone within earshot that this was not a long-term injury and that there was zero reason to panic. How can a championship-caliber defense withstand losing its undisputed $50 million superstar before a single meaningful snap of the regular season is even taken? That question began haunting everyone the moment defensive coordinator Vic Fangio stepped up to the podium and pulled back the curtain on what is truly happening behind the scenes. Fangio is not a coach who sugarcoats reality. He does not deal in public relations spin or manufactured optimism. When asked about his premier edge defender, Fangio did not offer a comforting timeline. Instead, his tone turned noticeably grim. He made it clear that the healing process is taking far longer than anyone anticipated, and he openly admitted that Greenid could not only miss the rest of the preseason, but may be sidelined for the regular season opener. To understand why this is sending shockwaves throughout the organization, you have to look at the severe physical reality of what Greenid's body has endured over the past calendar year. Edge rushers make their living on raw explosion, violent hand usage, and upper body torque. Every single snap requires them to violently punch 300-pound offensive tackles, shock blockers backwards, and bend their frames around the corner at breakneck speed. Greenid was already working his way back from major off-season shoulder surgery on one side, and suddenly he suffers a significant pectoral injury on the other. When you compromise both the shoulder and the chest of a premier edge rusher, you are attacking the exact muscle groups required to shed blocks and generate power. Rushing a player back from a dual upper body trauma is a recipe for complete disaster, because one wrong collision can re-tear the muscle and shut down his entire campaign. This brings the coaching staff and the front office to a massive strategic crossroads with a looming 53-man roster cutdowns. There is a monumental difference between being on the preseason PUP list and the regular season PUP list. During training camp, a player can be activated on any given Tuesday morning if the medical staff clears him. But once you carry that designation into week 1 of the regular season, the league rules are unforgiving. That player is legally barred from practicing or suiting up for a minimum of 4 regular season games. Losing Greenid for a single game is a massive blow, but losing him for the first month of the season puts this defense in an immediate pressure cooker. If you look at the opening stretch of the schedule, there is virtually zero margin for error. The season kicks off with an intense divisional battle against the Washington Commanders and their dynamic quarterback Jaden Daniels. A matchup where disciplined perimeter contain is the only thing preventing disaster. From there, the team hits the road for an unforgiving test against the Tennessee Titans. Then comes the real trial by fire. In Week 3, the defense faces a revenge showdown against Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears, the very team that embarrassed Philadelphia on national television last season by gashing Fangio's front for nearly 300 rushing yards. Right after that physical slugfest, the squad faces a brutal turnaround on Monday Night Football against the Los Angeles Rams, whom many consider the premier Super Bowl favorites heading into 2026. To cap off the opening month, the entire operation has to pack its bags and fly across the Atlantic Ocean to London to battle a ferocious Jacksonville Jaguars team that has evolved into a legitimate AFC heavyweight. Dropping early games because your pass rush cannot generate organic heat can derail home field advantage dreams before October even arrives. This leads us to our question of the day, and I want every single one of you to sound off. If Jonathan Greenid is forced to miss the first month of the regular season, should Howie Roseman immediately push his chips into the middle of the table for another blockbuster trade, or should Philadelphia trust its young depth to hold the line? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this is creating a massive debate across the entire city. While the injury news has cast a dark cloud over the defense, the silver lining is that the depth chart is suddenly getting thrown into the deep end, and several young players are stepping up to answer the call. Inside the building, coaches have been thrilled with the development of Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt. Both of these explosive young athletes were originally slated to anchor the rotation before veteran reinforcements were brought in. Now, with the starting spotlight suddenly thrust upon them, they have a golden opportunity to prove that the future of this pass rush is already in the building. At the same time, we're seeing veteran pieces settle into their roles. Arnold Ebiketie has shown flashes of brilliance throughout camp, displaying the relentless motor that Fangio loves in his outside linebackers. Meanwhile, A.J. Epineza has quietly adjusted to the diverse responsibilities of this scheme. Even though Epineza spent his previous years in Buffalo as a traditional hand-in-the-dirt defensive end, he has shown impressive discipline when dropping into shallow coverage zones and setting a firm edge against the run during preseason action. Combine that with an interior defensive line featuring Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Moro Ojomo, and Philadelphia still boasts one of the most physically intimidating defensive tackles rooms anywhere in the sport. Yet, amidst all the established names, the most electrifying development of the entire summer belongs to a complete unknown who is rapidly becoming a fan favorite, Joshua Weru. Weru's path to professional football sounds like something out of Hollywood script. Hailing from Kenya with a background playing high-level rugby, Weru arrived in the United States having never played an official down of organized American football. Alongside fellow international prospect or Bernard, a massive 300-pound former basketball player for Nigeria, Fangio playfully nicknamed them the defense's foreign exchange students. They were viewed as raw, developmental projects who would spend years learning the basic fundamentals on the practice squad. Then, the preseason opener against Baltimore arrived, and Weru completely flipped the script. On his very first drive in an NFL uniform, lined up as the right edge rusher, the rookie showed instincts that simply cannot be taught. On a designed play-action bootleg, Weru was initially stonewalled by the offensive tackle. Instead of giving up or stalling out, he unleashed a violent, textbook rip move, shed the blocker, showed unbelievable ankle flexion bending around the edge, and hit top gear to force an errant throw from the quarterback. Just 2 snaps later, the Ravens gave him a clean lane, and without a second of hesitation or rookie timidness, he pinned his ears back and blew up the pocket to record a devastating quarterback hit. In a single defensive series, Weru accumulated 2 pressures and a quarterback hit, showcasing elite bend, sudden change of direction, and an unteachable physical motor. That performance has created an incredible roster dilemma. If the front office tries to sneak Weru onto the practice squad, 31 other franchises will have his Baltimore tape on repeat, and he will almost certainly be claimed off waivers within minutes. This is where Greenid's injury status directly impacts the roster math. If Greenid starts the year on the regular season PUP list, he will not count toward the active 53-man roster, instantly clearing a protected roster spot for an explosive diamond in the rough like Weru to continue his development in midnight green. However, developing young talent is one thing. Competing for a Lombardi trophy in a win-now championship window is an entirely different standard. Greenid's absence leaves a massive void in high-leverage situations. When healthy, he is one of the most disruptive 3-down edge defenders in football. In 2024, he racked up 12 sacks, following a 12.5 sack campaign the year prior. Even during an injury-shortened 2025 season where he was limited to 12 appearances, his underlying pass rush win rate, quarterback pressure percentage, and run-stopping metrics ranked among the absolute elite. He is a tone setter who commands double teams and frees up everyone around him. If his recovery drags out and the internal rotation struggles during that brutal opening month, Howie Roseman will not hesitate to work the phones. We have seen this organization capture championships in 2017 and 2024 precisely because they treat pass rushers as the lifeblood of the roster. Whether it was the unforgettable strip sack on Tom Brady to secure the franchise's first Super Bowl or the suffocating front that dismantled Patrick Mahomes on the world's biggest stage, this team wins when it overwhelms quarterbacks with wave after wave of lethal pass rushers. If the front office decides to aggressively pursue a trade leading up to the deadline, for distinct names instantly rise to the top of the board. The first and most explosive scenario revolves around Max Crosby. Crosby is the ultimate defensive game wrecker, an engine of nonstop fury who transforms an entire defense the second he walks into the huddle. Crosby made it clear when trade rumors swirled that his only priority is playing in a winning environment where a Super Bowl ring is within reach. If the Las Vegas Raiders stumble out of the gate and fall out of contention, moving Crosby allows them to stockpile a massive haul of future draft picks to accelerate a rebuild. For Philadelphia, adding an elite alpha of Crosby's caliber alongside Jalen Carter would give Fangio an unstoppable defensive front capable of terrorizing any quarterback in the postseason. The second intriguing name is Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive tackle Vita Vea. While Vea operates primarily on the interior rather than the edge, his presence alters the entire geometry of a defense. At 31 years old and entering the final year of his deal with no remaining guaranteed money, Vea has officially requested a trade to find a long-term home. Over the last 2 seasons, he has generated over 100 quarterback pressures despite facing constant double teams. In Fangio's 3-4 front, Vea has the rare athletic versatility to dominate at nose tackle or slide outside as a 5-technique defensive end. While an interior trade is less likely given the depth of Carter and Davis, the sheer thought of putting Vea in the middle of this defense would make running the football against Philadelphia virtually impossible. The third option is a reunion that would send the entire Delaware Valley into a frenzy: Josh Sweat. Sweat is intimately familiar with the building, beloved by the locker room, and already owns a championship ring with the franchise. He has reportedly grown frustrated with his current situation in Arizona, and with the Cardinals potentially looking to sell assets at the deadline, bringing Sweat back home would provide an instant, seamless plug-and-play solution. He understands the expectations of playing in Philadelphia, knows how to thrive in high-pressure moments, and would require zero adjustment period to make an immediate impact. Finally, there is the high-ceiling wild card, Kayvon Thibodeau. Entering the final year of his contract with the New York Giants, Thibodeau represents a fascinating talent whose career has been defined by flashes of pure dominance mixed with frustrating inconsistency. If the Giants continue to struggle and realize they cannot afford to let him walk away in free agency for nothing, an interdivision trade is not entirely out of the question. Placing a raw, ultra-talented rusher like Thibodeau into a proven developmental room alongside elite interior talent could unlock the absolute best football of his career. What began as a quiet summer afternoon has officially evolved into the biggest storyline surrounding this football team. The path to a championship is never smooth, and adversity has arrived before the opening kickoff has even taken place. Whether Jonathan Greenid overcomes the odds to return sooner than expected, whether young stars like Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, and Joshua Weru seize this golden opportunity to announce themselves to the world, or whether Howie Roseman pulls off yet another franchise-altering trade blockbuster, one thing is guaranteed. The identity of this entire season will be defined by how Philadelphia answers this crisis in the trenches.